Hey peeps, let's move through a tune in and a warm up in kneeling today, hero pose. So for some of you, you'll be able to just plop right down into kneeling and rest the glutes on the heels, and that will feel okay in the knees. For many of us, we'll need to elevate the hips a little to have a little less flexion in the knees to be comfortable. So I like one block right under my sits bones. You can take 2 blocks right under your sits bones. If you don't have blocks, you can roll up a blanket to tuck between hips and heels. You can tuck a pillow or a couple pillows in there. Just finding something where you feel supported enough in the lower body that we can be here for a moment. Resting the hands however is comfortable. Palms face down, palms face up. Finding a mudra. Feeling the connection where you're resting on your prop or on your heels. Starting to imagine that sense of lightness from the top of the head, finding your nice tall spine, and finding a little more softness in the shoulder blades, a little more length at the back of the neck, and finding your gaze point a little ways in front of you or letting your eyes close. Bringing your awareness all the way down into your feet, checking in with how your feet are feeling today, scanning up through your ankles, lower legs, the knees, checking in with your hips, thighs. How's your belly feeling? Low back, mid back, upper back, shoulders, chest. Letting your awareness travel down the arms, hands, fingers, all the way back up to the neck. Checking in with the soft tissues of your head and face. And then bringing your awareness to your breath, noticing the sensation of your breath just as it is, not changing anything. Observing your breath without judgment. And then finding a really deep inhale through your nose, and we'll follow with an open mouth exhale. Finding 2 more breaths like that. Deep in breath through the nostrils. Open mouth, let it go. And 1 more. Allowing the eyes to open. Waiting for your next inhale. Shrug and shoulders up toward ears. And then we'll slide them back. Let them relax down with your out breath. Inhaling up. Exhaling back and down. Finding 1 more that direction. And then drawing them back, up, forward, down. Inhaling up. Exhaling forward, down. 1 more, letting shoulders soften all the way away from the ears. Bring your hands down beside your hips. If you're down on the floor, they might be touching the floor. That's okay. We're just going to give the arms a little shaky shake. And then we're going to sweep the hands all the way out wide and then bring them to the base of the skull, interlacing the fingers at the base of the skull. So elbows are reaching out wide to the side. So when we do this, a lot of us, I think I just did it, want to kind of pop our ribs forward. So we're going to try to stay right in neutral to begin, even with our fingers tucked at the base of the skull. We're neutral in the spine, we're lifted in the crown of the head, we're rooted at the sits bones, and those elbows are drawing directly out toward the sides of the room. We're going to take a big inhale here, and then with an exhale, draw your ribs in, draw your navel in towards your spine. Start to round forward, look down. Bring your elbows forward. Imagine you're going to try to touch your elbows together in front of your head. And then begin to move in the opposite direction, starting to draw your heart forward. Your elbows come back out to the side, and then we lean forward a little toward the pubic bone. Imagine you're going to try to touch your elbows together behind you. Gaze comes toward the ceiling. Exhale, rounding forward, elbows reach forward. Exhale, opening the heart, elbows drop back. I think I just said that backwards. Exhale forward into flexion. Inhale as you open the heart. And really, when it comes to breath, you're pairing breath, however feels beneficial, however feels juicy for your own body. If you want to inhale, exhale, opposite of what your teacher is saying, go for it. All right, we'll flow one more time each direction and then settle our way back to neutral. So if at any point the arms or shoulders start to get tired, we can modify all these movements, bringing the arms down. If possible, for now, we're going to leave them there, and we're going to use the elbows to start to lead us into our side bends or lateral flexion. So noticing right now our hips are fairly centered. We have about equal weight between our two sides. We're again going to find that big inhale, trying to keep those ribs tucked in, spine nice and long. And then as you exhale, imagine you're going to try to reach your left elbow toward the floor outside your left hip and your right elbow for the ceiling, but not going so far that that right hip starts to pop up off your prop. Inhaling back through center, and we'll exhale to the other side. Tuning into the rhythm of your breath here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, flexion. Or if you want to do it the other way, try it. See what feels better. All right, we'll go once or twice more. So you're balanced. And then back to center. Again, if the arms are getting tired, we'll give them a little break, or you can just bring them down for a moment, give them a little shake. And then we're going to use those arms to bring us into our twist, spinal rotation. So again, we try to find that nice length, neutral in the lumbar spine, neutral in the thoracic spine, neutral in the cervical spine. And then keeping that length and keeping those natural curves of the spine, we inhale in center, we exhale, twist left, right elbow reaches forward, left elbow reaches back, only as far as we can go, staying long. We don't want to go so far that we start to slump over, combining flexion with our twist. We're just twisting, going as far as we can, staying long, twisting through center and opposite side. I like to inhale center, exhale twist. Maybe you like to go the opposite. And finding one more each direction. After that last one, meeting in center, then we'll all unwind the arms. Bring those arms down beside the hips. Give the arms a nice little shake. And then whatever seated props we have, we're going to move those out of the way. If you landed sideways on your mat like I did, we're going to turn ourselves so we're about in the center of our mat, facing in the direction of our mat. And then we're going to lift the hips up and tuck the toes under. We're going to bring the hips back down onto the heels, and then just check and see if you found a little bit of a stretch for the bottoms of the feet. A lot of us, this is already a lot of a stretch. We're just going to stay here for a moment. If you want a little more, walk yourself forward until fingertips can come onto the mat, and then bring your hand back on the same side. Manually pull your toes in closer to your knee. Spread those toes out as you set them back down on the mat. Then bring yourself up, bringing weight of the torso up over the feet. And then we'll just pause here for a moment, find a breath. And then keeping the toes tucked, lifting up toward a high kneel. So we're gonna bend the knees to about 90, lift the torso up right over the knees. We're gonna bring the hands around to the tops of the glutes. Press the palms into the low back, very tops of the glutes. Let the hips press forward, elbows, shoulders draw back, heart open, gaze lift. And then start to lift your way back toward neutral spine. We're going to slide those hands all the way around to heart center. Interlace your fingers at heart center. Flip your palms to face away from you. Press the hands forward, round the spine. Let the gaze come down. Next, in-breath, lift those pressed palms up overhead, palms pressing for the ceiling. Find another breath here. Big inhale, lifting. Exhale, take a side bend to the right, keeping your hips in the center of your mat. Find a breath this side. Next inhale, lift through center. Your next out breath will take you left. Inhale, lift center. Separate the fingers, bring the palms back to face one another, about a shoulder distance between the palms. Toes tucked or untucked here, whatever feels better. We're going to turn our heart to the right as we float the arms down in the direction of parallel to the floor. Again, just going as far as I can, staying long in the spine. And then I'm going to bring myself all the way back towards center, lifting the hands. I'm going to turn my heart to the left, arms float down. And back through center. So as you flow here, if it feels good, if it feels interesting, as you come through center, add a little bit of a back bend, heart opens, fingers reach behind, and then back to neutral before you flow to that second side. And we'll go once more each direction. After the last one, meeting back in center. Allowing the hands to come to heart center for a moment. And we're going to bring ourselves all the way back into toe stand. So if toes are untucked, tuck them again. We're going to send our hips back toward heels. If it's in your practice, keep your hands here as you float your knees for toe stand. Or if you'd like, bring your fingertips down onto the floor long enough that you can lift one knee, lift your other knee, and then you can start to step your hands up, eventually bringing your hands back to heart center, finding your version of toe stand. And if you added another variation for arms, either bring your hands to heart center, or another option here, add a little more efforting, would be to float the arms out, arms parallel to the floor, see that the shoulders are soft, and then either keeping the hands to heart center or keeping those fingertips extended, we're going to lift toward balancing mountain. So we keep the heels lifted, we press into the toes and the balls of the feet. If arms are extended, we're going to leave them there as we press our way all the way up towards standing, trying to find that balancing mountain or lifted mountain. And then when you get to the top, lowering the heels. If arms are extended, we'll bring the hands down alongside the hips. If hands are to heart, soften the hands down outside the hips. Find a nice big shoulder roll, up, back, down. Take a bend into the knees, bring the hands to the thighs. Imagine you're going to lead from the crown of the head, melt your way all the way over to a forward fold. Big, big, big bend in the knees. Plant the fingertips, walk the hands out a little, step down onto your knees, keep the toes tucked, send the hips back to the heels. Walk hands in toward the knees. Option, keep fingertips on the mat, or maybe this side, you see what it feels like. Bring those hands to heart center. Try to float one knee and then the other, moving to toe stand that way. Pause in your toe stand. Getting ready to move toward balancing or elevated or lifted mountain. Maybe hands stay here, maybe hands extend. We try to keep those heels lifted as we press our way all the way back up, finding that balance at the top. And then as you lower the heels, hands come down. Find a big shoulder shrug. And one more time, big bend in the knees, hands to thighs, melting over. Planting the hands, walking out a little bit. Knees come down, sliding your way back, hands to heart center. Maybe this time you go ahead and reach the hands out parallel to the floor. Then you try to lift your knees into toe stand. Getting ready to lift our way up toward elevated mountain, balancing mountain. Pressing into the toes and the balls of the feet, heels stay lifted. We find that balance at the top for a moment. Lower the heels, lower the arms. Shoulder roll. And from this mountain, moving into the next part of your practice.